The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
Leading priests, Levites, and all of Israel, it is important that you take this oath that all those currently in a mixed marriage divorce your spouse immediately. The Mosaic laws speak against this. Now go out and spread the news throughout all of Jerusalem. Tell all of the exiles that they are to assemble at Jerusalem. And whoever does not come within 3 days, all of their property will be forfeited, and he himself will be excluded from the exiles.
Welcome to our final episode of 2023. In this episode, we explore the tension of faith and cultural compromise as Ezra confronts the issue of intermarriage amongst the returning exiles and divorce. Join us on this journey of spiritual integrity, navigating through the complexities of faith, love, and the pursuit of God's will. This is Ezra chapters 9 and 10, where convictions are tested and the call to remain faithful echoes throughout the pages of history. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right. Welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast, here with your hosts,
Nakhaz Gay
and Earl Roberts. So this is our last episode of 2023. Am I
We made
correct?
it. You are correct.
All right, perfect. Yeah. December 29th. Wow.
Mercy, Lord.
God is good. God is good.
All the time.
Made it through another year. Oh, man. So hopefully everyone will be like through your ups and downs, through your trials and tribulations, you can still have some time to reflect during this time about how good God is, how what God has brought you through, the many ways He has blessed you, and just have a sense of gratitude that He's brought you successfully through another year. And just for those who love to plan and like to plan, just put down some plans that you want to accomplish in the new year. I mean, hopefully people, like a lot of people who make these New Year's resolutions, they don't stick with them, but actually hope you put down some plans that are attainable. And, you stick to it, with God's grace and guidance, and actually pray about the things you want to accomplish in the next year, man. Like a lot of people just do it, like say, oh, I would like to do this, I like to do this, I would like to do this, but like, they don't actually spend time with the spiritual aspect of it. Like, 'cause some of these things you want, maybe that's not what God wants for you, and you gotta accept that. But they spend some time praying about your goals and your dreams, and just spend some time in the Word and just with God, especially with the new year coming up. So it's like a reflection period and also a simultaneous period to look forward to. Like you have a brand new 52 chapters of weeks coming up, 365 days, 64 days, depending on if it was a leap year or not. And next year is a leap year.
Right. I don't know if I jumping the gun. I guess in the new year we could have more life journey-esque convo, but my goal moving forward, not even just for next year, is to be like a prayer, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hear about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane
Mm-hmm.
the night before his crucifixion.
Mm-hmm. You don't want
Praying
to be
for
like
hours.
Peter.
No. He was praying for hours though.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm saying. So he's praying for a very long time. I was listening to a interview.
Mm-hmm.
It was a man who was once into like occultism, witchcraft, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he was talking about how he got converted to Christianity, how he got
Mm-hmm.
introduced to Jesus. He was saying he was born into that type of lifestyle, bro. Like, you see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like his mother went to the witch doctor and think she wanted a son type vibe, right?
Mercy.
So he was born into that. Like that's all he knew.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but a part of his testimony is he was saying how much of a threat it was this small church in
Mm-hmm.
Africa. It was like, let's say like 7 women and one man who's the pastor. They used to
Mm-hmm.
pray every day. He said
Mercy.
they pray every day, I think for 3 hours or 4 hours every
Mercy.
day. And they committed to doing this 100% for 90 days, bro. Like from 12 to 4 for 90 days. Nobody missed a time. You see, they saying that they doing that. And to me, I was struggling to believe him because, people say perception is reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my world, how could you pray for an hour? You see what I'm saying? How could you pray for 10 hours, for 12 hours? But in his world, but in his testimony, he was talking about his mentor who used to pray for 12 hours. Like on the weekend, she used to pick a time and she praying 12 hours. Now to me, these vibes sound like, it just don't sound possible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But biblically, we know Jesus was praying for a long time in the garden. He keep coming back and he's seeing these young men were sleep. The disciples were sleeping. You see what I'm saying? Just because it's not unlike me, doesn't mean it's people don't do it. You understand?
Yeah.
I remember when I was a child, bro. They used to have all night prayer meeting, bro. The
Yep.
prayer, the prayer meeting would start at like 7 p.m., bro, and it would end at like 7 a.m. type vibe. You see what I'm saying? And it wasn't no, it wasn't like a whole bunch of people. It was a good much people, but we praying all night, bro.
Prayer warriors, boy.
You see what I'm saying? They praying all night, so it ain't far fetched. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I know I very far from that. But you know how much days I gotta compile to say I pray for an hour, bro. Like a cumulative amount of like I might average, I don't know. Let's say I average 6 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
I need you see what I'm saying? Like I need 10 days. Every 10 days I I do what someone is doing a day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you
To me,
can't say you don't have
to me, like the
much to talk
hour
about.
ain't that hard to do, but boy, you get past that hour, I don't know. That's not
But
like
this one
that.
I
After the hours may start getting unfathomable for me in my own reality.
but this is what I'm saying though. Praying for hours like planking to me. If I tell you plank for 5 minutes, you saying by 5 minutes ain't hard to do, bro. When you get in that plank position,
I actually think I prayed for an hour before, man. That's the funny thing about
no,
it.
I'm not saying that you didn't. I just saying, bro, when you get in and I trying to do an hour.
Yes. Well, like it's like the only thing I want to do is like I must. Well, I think if you got enough things to pray for, boy.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem, bro. I don't think we realize how much we have to pray for. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Boy, when the rebel about to hit the road, boy, you praying, son.
see, and that's
Especially
the
when
thing.
you, when you know, boy. It's like when you really hit them hopeless times, you say, boy, Lord, it's only you who can get me out of this. Trust me, Lord. You telling God to trust us. I can do all I can do, Lord.
It's out of my hands, Lord. You know what I
I
mean?
had to try all I could.
Right? But at the end of the day, when you really think about it, right? That's what I used to tell people in poetry. Where people ask me for advice because they don't have anything to write about. I asked them last they talk on the phone. I would ask them last they call their mom. Last time you talked to your mom, how long was that conversation? An hour, 2 hours. You say, saying 3 hours, depending on the person. I say, you talk to anybody else this week? You see how long you spend on the phone? You have stuff to talk about. You definitely have stuff to talk about. You see what I'm saying? But it's like your mind don't be wired to thinking this is stuff relevant to talk about. You see what I'm saying? When you're talking to God, everything you're thankful for, you should have a long list of that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you want to beg God for, supplication. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's something there. Everything that you just want to ask God for, right? Everything you want to express to God to take
Mm-hmm.
away from you or to give you, right? But then beyond that, how many people you know? How many people you come in contact with? Even celebrities. You see what I'm saying? But I used to wonder, bro, about you remember back in the day, it was a big thing about Illuminati, Illuminati. Like that was a big, big buzzword, right?
Mm-hmm.
Topic of discussion. And in hindsight, none of us knew anything but anything. But we was just talking based on one documentary we watched and the truth about hip hop and all that thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I used to
This
think,
secret organization behind the scenes.
exactly, I used to think the people at the top of these organizations wasn't no saving them. I used to think, but ain't nothing, they done sell their soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what people say. Why? Our soul ain't our soul to sell, bro. But at any time, you can
Mm-hmm.
repent. You see what I'm saying?
Boy, I
You
tell
can
you.
repent. But I was like, I tell you, but I was watching this thing. But some things he was saying, but it was hard for me to like wrap my mind around, bro. But like it's stuff like that has happened in the Bible. So if I
Mm-hmm.
believe somebody was a demoniac without a legion of demons in him, right? And this boy
Mercy.
telling me the things he used to do when he was in the occult. How like why is that unbelievable? It in the Bible, like people was doing that, right? And so all I saying is it's a lot of evil people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
People in different levels of wickedness. So all the people you could be praying for. You see what I'm saying? The people in your family who of a different walk of life and they don't trust in God, they don't believe in God. There's all type of people to pray for, bro. But we about to
Mm-hmm.
talk. But we talk for an hour every week about like 20 verses of content. We
Mm-hmm.
talking for an hour. Like, bro, it's practical to talk to God for an hour. I'm not saying that you have to do it or you need to do it. I don't know that. But I'm saying that I'm trying to push myself to pray longer, bro. Like I ain't gonna be giving God this 5 minute boys and
Mm-hmm.
it's only 3 minute type one, you know? That's what I going for.
Go for it.
Yep.
It's a worthwhile goal to have, my friend.
Yeah, I can't see nothing bad. You know what I mean? Like I can't see the
Yeah.
consequences of it. Like
Like, what's the worst that could happen? Extra blessings?
exactly. Oh man.
Yeah, Lord. Amen. Mercy. Send some more of them. But yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's the weekly thought. So this week we are in Ezra again. We are about to wrap up the book of Ezra. So we're about to do chapters. Where's my Ezra slide? We're going to do chapters 9 and 10, if I am not mistaken. Oh, there we are. And so last week in Ezra, well, last time we talked about Ezra, which will probably be 2 weeks ago from when you guys are hearing this, we see the families of the people who came with Ezra return back. There was a little mishap because some of the Levites, I guess they just didn't want to return to Jerusalem. I mean, we speculated on several reasons why they may have not want to return. Definitely check out the episode that came out 2 weeks ago, 1670. I think it was
Mm,
170. But
170, yeah.
yeah, go check it out. But then we see like Ezra uh return with Levites, return with the numbers of people from the different households. He returned with gifts from the temple, returned with the edict from Artaxerxes, and now they were back in the land. And we see they offered their sacrifices, and everything was, going good. And so now we reach in chapter 9. And when these things were done, the leaders came to me, being Ezra, saying, "The people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the peoples of the lands. With respect to the abominations of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites." Boy, all these ites been around long, boy. "For they have taken some of their daughters as wives for themselves and their sons. So the holy seed is mixed with the peoples of those lands. Indeed, the hand of the leaders and the rulers has been foremost in this trespass. So when I heard this thing, I tore my garment and my robe, and I plucked out some hair of my hair on my bed, and sat down astonished. Then everyone who trembled at the words of the God of Israel assembled to me because of the transgression of those who had been carried away captive. And I sat astonished until evening sacrifice. Just
The boy was perplexed.
it's always funny when like you see words like that, right? Like when someone just baffled. It's like you don't even it's like you don't even know if to be angry, mad, sad. Well, angry, mad is the same thing, but sad, happy. You just like, oh,
You
like,
perturbed, bro.
like, huh.
But all it's showing me is that the Jews wasn't really that tight knit of a community, probably while they was in Babylon, because y'all just now discovering this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just traveled for 4 months. Y'all didn't catch on. You know what I mean? But that's probably a lot of people. So, but yeah, this for you to be perturbed like this or astonished, that show me that you wasn't aware. Just catch you off guard. You see what I'm saying? So it shock you. You can't be shocked by something that you knew was gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. So
The question is, do you think these are people who traveled with him, or these are people who we meet there?
I think it's the people who travel with him. That's how I interpret it.
Because I mean, like the Moabites, Ammonites, Amorites, Jebusites, well, the Canaanites. These all Canaanites.
They Canaanites.
People who was around, who used to be surrounding them.
All right, so I mean, let's put a pin there. Let's put a pin there and continue because I want to expound on a point that's later on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So at the evening sacrifice, I arose from my fasting, I again being Ezra, and having torn my garment and my robe, I fell on my knees and I spread out my hands to the Lord my God, and I said, "Oh my God, I am too ashamed and humiliated to lift my face to you, my God. For our iniquities have risen higher than our heads, and our guilt has grown up to the heavens. Since the days of our fathers to this day, we have been very guilty. And for our iniquities, we, our kings and our priests, have been declared into the hand of the kings of the lands, to the sword, to captivity, to plunder, and to humiliation, as it is this day. And now for a little while, grace has been shown from the Lord our God to leave us as a remnant, to escape, and to give us a peg in his holy place. And that our God might enlighten our eyes and give us a measure of revival in our bondage, for we were slaves. Yet our God did not forsake us in our bondage, but he extended mercy to us in the sight of the kings of Persia to revive us, to repair the house of our God, to rebuild it in its ruins, and to give us a wall in Judah and in Jerusalem. And now, O our God, what shall we say after this? For we have forsaken your commandments, which you commanded by your servants the prophets, saying, the land which you are entering to possess is an unclean land, with the uncleanness of the peoples of the lands, with the abominations which have filled it from one end to another with their impurity. Now therefore do not give your daughters as wives to their sons, nor take their daughters to your sons, nor and never seek their peace or prosperity, that you may be strong and eat good of the land, and leave it as an inheritance to your children forever. And after all this has come upon us for our evil deeds and for our great guilt, since you, our God, have punished us less than our iniquities deserve, and have given us such a deliverance as this, should we again break your commandments and join in marriage with the people committing these abominations, would you not be angry with us until you had consumed us, so that there would be no remnant or survival? O God of Israel, you are righteous. For we are left as a remnant, as it is today. Here we are before you in our guilt, though no one can stand before you because of this.
So I realized the point I was trying to make is in the next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But I think it's geographically it's more likely that it was the Canaanite, it was the people that was there You see what I'm saying? That had been intermarrying. The only problem is the people who were there already, they had already, you could see they was kind of zealous for the preservation of their people because they wouldn't allow others to partake in building the temple with them. Other people, the other nations were saying, yo, we worship just like you. You know what I mean? We want to build a temple. And, the leaders, Zerubbabel and them, they was like, nah, no, bro. Like, it's not happening. Like, y'all get away from us. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but the next question could be also, Zerubbabel, they done been there for like 6, 7 decades now.
Mm-hmm.
So the people here, these Israelites go. I even say Israel, we as humans go. Is that original zeal and fervor still there?
Yeah, that's true. By beholding, you see
You
what I'm saying?
become changed.
You become changed. Yeah. The next chapter, they gonna answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna answer. I already see the answer. You see what I'm saying?
All right, let's go. Now, while Ezra was praying and while he was confessing, weeping, and bowing down before the house of the God, a very large assembly of men, women, and children gathered in front of him from Israel. The people wept very bitterly, and Shechaniah, the son of Jael, one of the sons of Elam, spoke up and said to Ezra, "We have trespassed against our God, and we have taken pagan wives from the peoples of the lands, yet now there is hope in Israel in spite of this. Now therefore let us make a covenant with our God to put away all these wives and those who have been born to them, according to the advice of my master and of those who tremble at the commandment of our God, and let it be done according to the law. Arise, for this matter is your responsibility. We are also with you. Be of good courage and do it."
All right. So we have this dude right now. He really just egging Ezra on to like, bro, you got to get rid of these wives or these spouses. You see what I'm saying? Like everybody that's in improper or mixed religion marriage, we got to do it. But then he throwing it on Ezra to do now.
Yeah.
You see what they saying? Like, so I come up with this plan, but you got to do this quick, bro.
You got to be wary of them people too, boy.
Boy, certain people is start up conversations and then fall asleep to leave you to deal with that long conversation. This is a little inside joke.
You got to be careful of them people too, boy.
All right, so let's
sleep
get
sweet.
for true. Sleep good after holding you in the downs with someone else. So let's backtrack. So when Ezra them, so after they came back and they had their sacrifices in the temple, and they getting acclimated with everything. They noticed a lot of intermarriage. This really perplexed Ezra, right? Because as we mentioned in, I think, Ezra 7, when we were introduced to him, he was a scribe and an expert in the law of God. You see what I'm saying? He was an expert in the law of God. So with that being said, it's a lot of laws in the book of Moses, what they call it, the Mosaic laws. It's a lot of stuff to follow. And he knew everyone. And they even quoted the law that was saying, like, you should not intermarry. And for context, this is mentioned a lot, bro. This is mentioned a lot. You see what I'm saying? Deuteronomy 7, verse 4. Turn your sons away from it's like talking about marriage and say, for they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other gods. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. In Judges, talking about Samson. Samson was trying to marry Delilah. His parents was concerned. It's like, bro, you can't find an Israelite. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Exodus 34, verse 16, and you might take some of his daughters for your sons, and his daughters might play the harlot with their gods, and cause your sons also to play the harlot with their gods. You know what I'm saying? So basically, the common theme is like, bro, we don't want y'all to intermarry because they're gonna lead y'all to worshiping false gods. Facts. You know what I mean? It happened before. It happened in the book of Judges. They kept intermingling with these people. You see what I'm saying? Even in the book of Numbers, they were sleeping with I think it was the Moabites, and that caused the death of a lot of people, including Balaam. You know what I'm saying? And God was very upset about that. And so now we just came out of exile for pushing God to that level and pushing boundaries and stuff like that. And when we came back at our fresh start, we noticed that y'all had already started living a life of falsities, of like broken laws. Like y'all was already living a sinful type of life, meaning that y'all broke this law, y'all sinned. This marriage was a sinful type of marriage, right? So now here's the problem. The law is not to marry. That has already happened. However, what needs to be done here, because it has already happened. So now, and I want to be clear, when we talk about this is going to be a conversation of divorce. Some people might be thinking, if I marry someone I wasn't supposed to marry, you know what I'm saying? What then to do? You know, when Jesus talks about divorce, he say, except for sexual immorality, you know what I'm saying? Like that ain't that no, what's really the grounds for divorce? When we think about who Paul, right? um 1 Corinthians 7:13, if any woman has a husband who is an unbeliever and he consents to live with her, she should not divorce him. And they say the same thing for a man who have a woman who's an unbeliever. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just because they don't believe, just because they different religion, that's not grounds for divorce. Even in the olden days, not olden days, even during this time, Malachi, who was around after the temple was rebuilt. So it's believed that because he references the temple. So, and we know Ezra came around after the temple was rebuilt. So it's believed that Malachi is a contemporary of Ezra. Malachi 2, verse 16. For the Lord God of Israel says that he hates divorce, for it covers away one's garment with violence, says the Lord of hosts. Therefore, take heed to your spirit that you do not deal treacherously. So now we have two confines here. One, where y'all sinned in having an unlawful marriage. And now y'all about to sin again by justifying divorce, which God does not approve of in these confines. You understand what I'm saying? And so we see Ezra, who is so zealous for God that he feels bad. If I feel bad, bro, like when I come back here, I see a bunch of people who blatantly disobeyed the law. Bro, this got us into trouble before, bro. Like, this is not cool, bro. When Ahab married Jezebel, we see a lot of they was
Mercy.
running amok around there. You see what I'm saying? They was killing all of the prophets, all type of Baal worship, etc. You know, and so we could see the negative impact. It has been proven that idol worshippers have had on the Israelites, and so I think Ezra is justifiably sad, perturbed, right? But now the question is, what is your next move? And is it a righteous move, or is this something? Are you being a vigilante, or is this a, a an act of God? Like, is God telling you to do this, or is this you? You see what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about this proposal right now to
Yeah, it's an
issue the
interesting thought. It's
divorce.
an interesting thought exercise, right? Because Shekinah, Shekinah, how you say his name? I apologize. But it's interesting, Greg, because clearly he knows the law and he knows what needs to be done as well. He's proposing it because it's like, on one aspect, he's like, Ezra, you know what needs to be done. You definitely know what needs to be done, but you don't want to say what needs to be done. And I wonder if Ezra didn't want to say it primarily because it's like, bro, I just come here. You know, I have a bunch of authority, but I won't really pull my authority card right now just because. But at the same time, it's like, do y'all even know what's wrong? But clearly, y'all know what's wrong.
Right, but how would he know what needs to be done? Based on what, though? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but based on the law, like,
What does the law say? Like, the law says not to do it, but now that it's already done, what's the next course of action?
and
You
that's
see
the
what
thing.
I'm saying?
Hold on, I had, do I have it still? We have to go way back.
because I'm just so like I question, like I really wonder what is there, because let's think about it like this, right? Boaz, he intermarried. You see what I'm saying? I believe his wife was Moabite. You see what I'm saying? And Boaz, for those who don't know, that was David's grandfather or great grandfather.
I think it was great granny.
Right. There's one of his ancestors. Either grandfather or great grandfather. God is in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? Like King David, that was their prestigious king. But he had Moabite in his blood. The difference is Ruth, she followed after Naomi's God, and she followed after Naomi. So you are Moabite by blood, by heritage, but not by religion. You understand what I'm saying? So what happens when you intermarry? You know, is it lawful to say divorce in those confines?
There's
Because
something. Oh, keep going, keep going, keep going. While I try to
Moses
find
talk
this.
about sexual immorality. You understand what I'm saying? Putting away your wife due to sexual immorality, and that's what Jesus clarified. You know what I'm saying? So that's why when I see Malachi talking about it, it's like Malachi say straight up, bro, God ain't into divorce. You feel me? God ain't into divorce type vibe.
When a man,
So,
Deuteronomy 24, verse 1, when a man had taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she finds no favor in her eyes because he had found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement and give it to her in her hand and send her out of his house. So it's interesting. It's interesting, but to your point, like, does the law say specifically what happens if you?
right, because that was so like to me the uncleanness. I thought that was about sexual immorality, because so I'd have to read this in context or whatever. But I thought that meant like you cheat, or you see what I'm saying, like you defile your marriage, you know. But uncleanness could it mean that if you change religion, you see what I'm saying, or if you sin, like what is that like? I know that.
Yeah, it's like the anyway, but yeah, like to the original point is like what needs to be done? What needs to be done?
Right. So you see, and that's what I question. I question if he knew, like for real, this need to be done, because I know this from like law, or is this like based on how I feel like this should be done? You see what I'm saying?
It's almost like my gut telling me it's part of law, but I guess can't justify that wholly right now. Because Ezra
Right.
never argued with that part. But I also think that's why Ezra was weeping bitterly too. It's like, bro, I ain't want to act this judgment.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so okay, keep going. In verse 5, then Ezra arose and made the leaders of the priests, the Levites, and Israel swear an oath that they would do according to this word. So they swear, excuse me, I know. And Ezra rose up from before the house of God and went into the chamber of Johanan, the son of Eliashib. And when he came there, he ate no bread and drank no water, for he mourned because of the guilt of those from the captivity. And then they issued a proclamation throughout Judah and Jerusalem, and to all the descendants of the captivity, they must gather at Jerusalem, and that whoever would not come within 3 days, according to the instructions of the leaders of the elders, all his property would be confiscated. Excuse me, and he himself would be separated from the assembly of those from the captivity.
Ezra tough, bro.
Let me see, Ezra. He flexed, he might not, but y'all, hey, I still run this, bro.
Yeah, no, Ezra tough, bro. Ezra tough. I want to expound a little bit
Go for it.
on so I could pull up two texts, Matthew 19, verse 3 through 9. All right, so now this is Jesus teaching and stuff like excuse me, Jesus teaching. And the Pharisee also came to him, testing him, and saying to him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason? Right? That's the New King James Version.
Mm-hmm.
And he answered and said, have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh? So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what man has joined together, let no man separate.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then said unto him, they replied to Jesus, so why did Moses command to give a certificate of divorce and to put her away? Right. And he said to them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, permitted you to divorce your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries another, commits adultery. And whoever marries her, who is divorced, commits adultery. You see what I'm saying? So that's where I get the notion that the Mosaic laws was like sexual immorality. But Deuteronomy 24 is just saying, like, if you find some type of uncleanness with her, you divorce her. Like, if you find some type of gripe with her, you divorce her. Now, this still, to me, and you could say I'm nitpicking, but I don't think so. This still, to me, a little different, because someone else telling you to divorce your wife. You see what I'm saying? We ain't saying, okay, let's give it a criteria. Does she follow Yahweh? You see what I'm saying?
Agreed.
If not, divorce. You see what I'm saying? They just like, bro, if she is a foreigner, divorce. Either you divorce her or you get no inheritance. But I'm saying that was not the case before, even with Boaz, bro. Like, wait, ain't nothing in the text suggests that Boaz was bugging for marrying Ruth, right? And then also, Jesus comes from that line. You see what I'm saying? Like, Jesus comes from the line of a Moabite and Israelite marriage union, you know? And so I think it was a bit of self-judgment. No, I can say judgment, but like your own opinions mixed with the text. You see what I'm saying? Being imposed on the Israelite by Ezra.
Well, the only slight difference I think with Moabite example is, in this case, to be fair, is like, we know she already was worshiping God, but these people specifically, they said, like, the ones they really concerned about have not separated themselves with respect to the abominations. So like, we know really and truly y'all doing the same foolishness that caused us going to captivity to begin with.
But part of the abomination is intermarrying. That's an abomination.
But also they also worshiping these other gods as well. I think it's like a double-edged sword right now. It's like two issues mixed in one.
Right. And so the only other problem I have is Malachi 2, who was around during the same time. He could have been around before or after. Malachi 2, verse 16. You see what I'm saying? Where it say, for I hate divorce, says the Lord, and the Lord of Israel. You see what I'm saying? Like,
no, I mean, I agree, but here's the thing: it's like, there's two issues, right? Like, okay, y'all intermarry, and y'all and some of y'all, great money, y'all worshiping these gods, right? We have one group saying, but y'all need to get put together. But now the question is, all right, even though y'all doing this, is the divorce, like, y'all need to like divorce these people? Now it's like, all right, but the divorce part and the worshiping idols part is almost like two separate issues that just completely like wrapped up and tangled up right now.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like the divorce issue we dealing with. Now y'all still need to stop worshiping these idols, right? But now this divorce part is the part of getting sticky.
Right. But so this is my thing is, right? It's one thing that God hates, but for you to correct one thing, you have to do another thing that God hates to correct the thing that God hates. You see what I'm saying? So this is where it's sticky, and this is where it's like you read this, and my fear, bro, is for people who don't have all the context that I provided. Now you can make your own decision based on this. You could say, "Cause you misinterpreting, you bugging, you entitled to your opinion." But my fear is that people, some people feel. Remember, we was talking about convictions the other day, right? Mm-hmm. You and I might have completely different convictions, bro. You might be able to watch something or listen to something and I can't listen to that. God telling me don't listen. You might be able to go and pursue a different career. I might not, God might tell me, but guys, I don't want you in that career. Type one. You see what I'm saying? Difference in convictions. Now the difference is if I know for a fact God is telling me, bro, I do not want you in this field, bro. I don't want you XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
I should not impose on Earl how Earl needs to move if this was something based on my convictions, right? And so my fear is that certain people, we all have different doctrinal opinions, right? And some things affect lifestyle. Like some people believe that, like Adventists, we believe that we have dietary restrictions. It's other Christians who believe you could eat anything because it's not will go into your body that defiles you. Difference of doctrinal opinion, right? Based on this text, I don't believe that I am justified in inflicting a punishment on somebody based on how they interpret the Bible or how they live their life. Because I don't, unless God instruct me to do it, I don't believe like you have that right. And I don't think Ezra had that right. I think Ezra was supposed to instruct them on the word and tell them they need to make a decision. Either you could turn away from idols or be cast out from around here. But to justify divorce outside of sexual immorality and also outside of if you find uncleanness with your wife, which you probably would have if you turn away the idols. But if you don't turn away the idols, you ain't gonna find uncleanness or whatever. So now you might still not, your heart might not be right. You might get divorced. So now you have a double whammy. We ain't fixing nothing right now.
Yeah,
You see
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
Malachi also said, like, as for the man who does this, whoever he may be, we're talking to the people who marry people who worship the foreign gods,
Mhm.
may the Lord remove him from the tents of Jacob.
You
And
say Malachi or Ezra said that?
Malachi,
Oh, okay, okay.
Malachi 2, and you go down to 11. Judah has been
Mhm.
unfaithful. A detestable thing has been committed in Israel and Jerusalem. Judah has desecrated the sanctuary of the Lord by marrying women who worship a foreign god. As for the man who does this, whoever he may be, may the Lord remove him from the tents of Jacob, even though he brings an offering to the Lord Almighty.
So now we see, okay, and this is an even different debate. We see two men of God who have two different instructions based on the same topic. You see what I'm saying? Malachi's saying, but y'all need to separate from the people of God if that's what y'all into. You see what I'm saying? But divorce wasn't it. You know what I mean? Ezra's saying y'all need to divorce, but don't separate. Type one. Now the difference with Malachi and Ezra is that Malachi was a prophet. You see what I'm saying? Ezra was a man of God, a leader, a scribe. You see what I'm saying? Watchdog of the law. You see what I'm saying? But I just feel like in church, there's been a lot of people who've been hurt based on what they feel like God wanted them to do, but that was not the instructions of God, bro. A lot of people of church hurt. It was not God telling them, the people to be these type of polices or Pharisees or others.
I mean, that's all the Pharisees and Sadducees to carry on. You adding a bunch of extra stuff onto the word.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, like just given all the context, I do feel like Ezra was, I mean, that's how I felt coming into it. I do feel Ezra was overzealous. I
Yeah.
just like providing, the opposite opinion. So it makes for good conversation.
Yeah, no, I got you. One more text I wanted to mention, Matthew 5:30. This is also concerning divorce. It was also said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that every man who divorces his wife, except on the ground of sexual immorality, makes her commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. So Jesus stated this opinion on multiple matters. The problem right now is that they didn't have Jesus to give this clarity here. You see what I'm saying? So we have one person who have the law and he took educated guesses on what should happen based on the law, based on everything I read. You see what I'm saying? This is my guess versus somebody Malachi, who had the insight from God on the precise way to handle this scenario. I think Ezra was overzealous. I don't think Ezra was hating. I don't think he was being mean. But it shows me that you could be overzealous for God and do the wrong thing. You see what I'm saying? I just think it from a human perspective. Tearing families apart, bro. You know what I mean? Like some certain people, I think that can cause them to hate like they religion, because they gotta leave their movie now, bro. You see what I saying, bro? Like this is my one true love.
Boy, I tell you.
Yeah, she little pagany. You know what I mean?
A little shamosh in the backyard.
Little bail every now and then. You know what I mean? We
Something
working on
slight.
that. We working on that.
We going from the gold one to the silver one. We downgrading.
We downgrading. Soon we could be the wood, and
You
then we could
know.
be the nun.
Oh my. Okay. So all the men of Judah, reading from verse 9, all the men of Judah and Benjamin. Oh, like how they give Benjamin a shout out. Gathered at Jerusalem within 3 days. It was the 9th month of the 20th, on the 20th of the month. And all the people sat in the open square of the house of God, trembling because of this matter and because of heavy rain. Ezra cold Dubai. Had the people outside in the rain, right?
Boy, got them trembling.
And then Ezra the priest stood up and said to them, "You have transgressed and have taken up pagan wives, adding to the guilt of Israel. Now, therefore, make a confession to the Lord God of your fathers and do his will. Separate yourselves from the people of the land and from the pagan wives." I think we should get to this point before we get our big debate.
Oh yeah, true. I ain't gonna lie. I'll be honest. I famous for that, bro. I always jump in the gun, bro. I always.
No, we didn't even reach the part yet, but okay, it's all good conversation.
Mm-hmm. I think that's happened because I don't read, bro. I just listen to the Bible a lot. You see what I'm saying? Like,
all right, now verse 12. And then all the assembly answered and said with a loud voice, "Yes, as you have said, so we must do. But there are many people in there, but there are many people. It is the season for heavy rain, and we are not able to stand outside. Nor is this work of 1 or 2 days, for there are many of us who have transgressed in this matter. Please let the elders of our entire assembly stand, and let all those in our cities who have taken up pagan wives come at an appointed times, together with the elders and the judges of their cities, until with the fierce wrath of our God is turned away from us in this matter. Only Jonathan, the son of Ashael, and Jahaziah, the son of Tikvah, opposed this, and Mushallam and Shabbatai, the Levite, gave them support. Then the descendants of captivity did so. Then and Ezra the priest, with certain heads of the fathers' households, were set apart by the fathers of the households, each of them by name. And they sat down on the first day of the 10th month to examine the matter. By the first day of the first month, they finished questioning all the men who had taken pagan wives. Boy, what a time. All right, verse 18. And among the sons of the priests who had taken pagan wives, the following were found: of the sons of Joshua, Jozadak, and his brothers. Ooh,
so Josadak, right?
Mm-hmm.
We first learn about him
Mm-hmm.
in Ezra 3,
Mm-hmm.
verse 2. Then Joshua, son of Josadak, and his fellow priests, you know what I'm saying? They talk about him and Zerubbabel and all them. So to your point, just off him alone, he was there before Ezra. You see what I'm saying? So these more than likely, these were the majority of people intermarrying with those who had already came there before this journey, before Ezra and all those had arrived.
Get a little comfortable in the land, man.
Yeah, meet and greet, mingle a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, where are you from? Oh, from Moab.
Hey, nice, my favorite.
You know what, King David? He got some Moabite in his blood.
A little match made in heaven. Israelites and Moabites, we was getting together from time.
Mercy. All right. Still crazy. Like David was like a millennia ago at this point. That's wild.
Yeah, bro.
That's wild.
Crazy.
All right. His brothers, Masiah, Eliezer, Jareb, and Jedaliah. Interesting name. And they gave their promise that they would put away their wives, and being guilty, they presented a ram of the flock as their trespass offerings. Also, the sons of Immer, Hanai, and Zebediah. Of the sons of Harim, Messiah, Elijah, Shemaiah, Jael, and Uzziah. Of the sons of Pasher, Elionai, there's a popular name. Masiah, Ishmael, Nathaniel, Josabad, and Elisha.
And the sons of Immer was mentioned in Ezra chapter 2. So, yeah.
Well, I tell you. Also, the Levites, even the Levites getting Josabad, Shammai, Khalil, the same as Kelita.
Okay.
Pethiah, Judah, and Eliezer. Of the singers, Eliashib, and of the gatekeepers, Shalom, Telim, and Uri. And of the other sons of Israel, Parosh, Remariah, Josiah, Malkiah, Benjamin, Elzer, Malkijah, and Benaiah. Of the sons of Elam, Matanish, Zechariah, Jehel, Abdi, Jeremoth, and Eliah. Of the sons of Zatu, Elionai, Elisha, Mataniah, Jeroth, Sabad, with a Z, or Z, Azariah. The sons of Babi, Jehonathan, Hananiah, Zabi, and Athlai. Of the sons of Bani, Musalam, Muluk, Adiah, Jashab, Sheel, and Ramoth. Of the sons of Pahath Moab, Adna, Chali, Salal, Benaiah, Masiah, Madaniah, Bezel, Buni, Benai, and Manasseh. Of the sons of Haram, Eleazar, Ishajah, Malkijah, Shemaiah, Shimeon, Benjamin, Maluk, Shemariah. Why are you laughing? Of the sons of Hashem, Mataniah, Matanai, Atata, Zabad.
Matata.
So interesting because like our tongues just aren't used to pronouncing these sounds.
Yeah, interesting. I got you on the rest of it, right?
Appreciate you.
Yeah, a little bit of a break.
Guys, you say, but you're butchering them, but it's a lot.
I give you a break. All right, so Zabad, continue in verse 33. Eliphalet, Jeremiah, Manasseh, and Shimei of the sons of Bani, Madai, I don't know, Amram, Uel, Benaiah, Bedaiah, Sheila, Phaniah, Meremoth, Eliashib, Mataniah, Shesai, I don't know, Bani, Binuai, Shimei, Shelemiah, and Nathan.
Gotta love that Nathan.
Yeah. Ariah, Mak, Nadabai, Shashai, Sharai, Azarel, Shelemiah, Shemariah, Shalom, Amariah, and Joseph. Of the sons of Nebo, Jael, Mataniah, Zabad, Zebina, Shaddai, Joel, and Benaiah. All these are taking pagan wives, and some of them had wives by whom they had children. So now you divorce. Who keeping the children? Are the children Israelites or Moabites or what?
Well, they just sound like that anyway.
Oh, your boy, oh boy.
Sound like things that happen in the real world today.
Right? See, it's not to be confused, lady brothers and sisters, friends. This ain't about intermarrying today. It was a different. See, that's the thing about reading the Old Testament and be living in a time when Jesus has came and died for our sins. You see what I'm saying? And expounded on the covenant law. If Jesus was telling it, the divorce thing is a sexual immorality type thing. You see what I'm saying? Like that's generally the grounds for it, right? In this scenario, we know Jesus would have been on the side of Malachi, whereas Malachi is prophesying from God, what God is saying. You know what I'm saying? However, even in the New Testament, when we read Paul, Paul was saying, bro, if you marry an unbeliever, you see what I'm saying? First of all, do not be unequally yoked. That's number one. Excuse me. So, man, if a verse 7, verse 12. Let me change this from the NIV real quick. I know y'all don't know how I go. KJV. All right. Corinthians 7, verse 12. But to the rest I speak, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife who believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman who hath a husband who believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by her husband. Else your children would be unclean, but now they are holy. But if the unbelieving spouse depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, for God hath called us to peace. For how knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband, or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? But as God hath distributed to every man as the Lord hath called everyone, so let him walk. And so I ordain in all churches. You see what I'm saying? So under the specifications of the law, of the Torah, they were in danger of worshiping idols by doing so. That was culturally what was going to happen. You see what I'm saying? So God is saying, don't even get with unbelievers, because they just do a bunch of things to their idols, and you will get involved. You will get involved. That's facts. You know what I'm saying? Now it's a little different. Now I must admit, you being unequally yoked, they can't rub off on you. Their practices, their lackadaisicalness when it comes to just being devout, they might not have that belief. They might not believe in God. They might believe in another God. They don't believe in Jesus. You understand what I'm saying? Some of these things could rub off on you, and it will be a burden. The yoke thing, when they say yoke, they talking about basically the mount that you put on two oxen so that they can plow the land. It's basically like, I don't know how best to describe it, but it's something that you mount around the necks of each ox so that they can, and you attach that to like the fork thing so that they could actually plow the land. But we have to walk together. It's like the three-legged race. That's as best as an analogy I could say it. Excuse me. If you're in a three-legged race with someone who's much taller than you, you gonna have a hard time. Or two of y'all gonna have a hard time. You see what I'm saying? If you're in a three-legged race with someone who's much slower than you, y'all gonna have a hard time. You understand? Y'all can't. The purpose of being yoked together, or oxen, they are moving in the same direction. You see what I'm saying? If y'all are not on the same level, y'all gonna move in different directions. Y'all gonna be a pain to one another. You understand? A hindrance to one another. So it's best to avoid that. That's Bible. But if you are already in the situation, your spouse sanctified through you. That's what the Bible say, you know? But I mean, this information wasn't privy to Ezra, at the time, and then they was under the Jewish law, as I said. This is before Jesus came and fulfilled the law. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I just have to picture imagine the person who had to figure out that, but we got to yoke you all together because I around here trying to plow this field. You going left, you going right, and I need two y'all to go straight. No. I gotta
put y'all together, bro.
Yeah, but y'all cost me.
It might have been Samson. It might have been Samson when he get them foxes,
Hey, Samson, but he says a wild man for that because I know we get that much foxes. Anyway.
He had all them equally yoked in that field.
Awesome, Harvard. But it's interesting, to me, right? We have a man who, and you kind of allude to this, right? But it's like we have a man who studied the Bible, studied the Word at that time, right? And was so caught up on the the law that you forget the love. You know what I'm saying? Like we see Ezra in this instant. He never once consulted God about what he should do. You know what I'm saying? But he had his whole prayer. I was like, boy, Lord, like, boy, we can't believe we back here. But he ain't never really like consulted, like, yo, what should I do for this? You know what I'm saying? And it's interesting because you're so read up on the word and the law, but you kind of forgetting the whole purpose of it. Like you forgetting the connection with God part of it. Now you're just saying, but we got to enact judgment, but y'all can't even marry these people. But again, like if you're so close to the fire, but you can't feel the heat, you're missing the point. You know what I'm saying? I think we have an example of this right here in Ezra, like someone who heart kind of in the right place almost, but almost going about
Because
it the
I
wrong
believe
way.
his heart is in the right place.
You know what I'm
I do
saying?
believe his heart is in the right place. Yeah.
It's like he heart in the right place, but like you ain't really consulting God about how to do it. Because yes, there is a dilemma. Lord, we have a dilemma, but what to do about this? You know what I'm saying? Like what to do about this? And I think like that's where Ezra kind of fell short in this whole thing about it. Like he never really once consulted God. Like when he write the book, if anyone knows what he did, it would be him, the man who literally write the book and then talking in first person. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's interesting. And I mean, we all get there. You know, we know just enough to be dangerous, as I always say at work. I know just enough about this to be dangerous. And we see go for it.
No, go on, go on.
That's it. We see Ezra literally knew just enough to be dangerous. Because now you know the law, you have your interpretation of this law, right? But you have an idea of what should happen. And we see the Israelites, as we go throughout history now, we're gonna see they have an idea in their head of what should happen.
Yeah, and so I believe that this is a microcosm. This is a seed showing how the Pharisees and the Jews were in the position that they were in when Jesus came. So now we had these covenant watchdogs, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like the Pharisees I'm talking about, they was like the police, bro. They was like the police for the law, right? And they going hard, bro. They imposing things that's not in the law. They putting laws on top of laws. Ezra, the game is the game. I got to be honest. It's kind of what you're doing. You put a law on top of the law. So the law is to not do this thing. But you say, now y'all have to not do this. Like this is the law now. Either divorce your wife or lose your inheritance. You see what I'm saying? Type of situation.
Boy, all your possessions get confiscated.
Done. What you could do, you could take that 4-month journey back. That's what you could do.
You know, I just someone, they go home that night, wait, who die and make Ezra king?
That's what I said. Hold on now, buddy. That's why I didn't want to come here.
Why does money stay in Persia, man?
But you know why they bugging? Why they bugging, not Ezra? One, because y'all know worshiping idols is wrong. Y'all know that.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason why Ezra was like, but I gotta come here, bro. Because things ain't really going the way. They need leadership, bro. Like you need religious leadership. You see what I'm saying? However, these wasn't the people that Ezra beg or drag out of Babylon. Y'all willfully came here. Y'all didn't want to be in Babylon no more. You see what I'm saying? And so y'all choose to do this. Y'all choose to come here. And y'all choose to intermarry, bro. Like, you see what I'm saying? Y'all didn't care for real, dog. Like, if this was the people in Babylon, you could say, oh, they was so loved the Babylonian lifestyle.
They might have had if I can't beat them, join them mentality, you see? You know, they're putting up a lot of resistance.
That's true. They was coming in.
That's why your boy, the prophesy Zechariah, like, but y'all can't get discouraged now.
And then, you know what? When you look at the, what the people name now, the Samaritans, you see what I'm saying? How they were set up. You see, there's a bunch of intermarrying there. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, with their nations. So now, Ezra, I think that might have been more reason why it's like, but we can't do that. We can't lose. We can't lose our nation. The more we intermarry, the more we blend. And so it can come a time and we don't have a nation. We just could be like a mix. You see what I'm saying? Now, it's also not to be confused that there were, before the fall of Israel and Judah, there were foreigners dwelling among them. You see what I'm saying? There are probably people who left with Egypt. There was the Gibeonites.
Mm-hmm.
Gibeonites. You see what I'm saying? Like we had people that converted. Ruth was a prime example. Ruth was so in love with her, like like a motherly love, that daughterly love. She had so much love for Naomi. She was like, "But your God is my God, but I can go wherever you go. I loyal to you." You see what I'm saying? I can leave my land, I can leave my family. It's just me
Mm-hmm.
and you, type thing, you know?
Offer said peace.
Yeah. She ended up converting. You see what I'm saying? She ended up
Mm-hmm.
converting to serving the Most High God. So there are people, and also Rahab. Rahab was another pagan, another Canaanite, who's also an ancestor of Jesus as well. You see what I'm saying? It's a few people that was non-Jews, non-Israelites that make it. So it's not the race thing. It's not a racist thing. You see what I'm saying? It's a religion. It's like a belief in God type of thing. It's a righteousness thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so the overall concept was that the people of Israel were now the people of Israel, Judah. They back in Israel, but they Jews, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Benjamites and Levites for this word. They had now taken a giant leap backward. Ezra, when he came back with the remnant people. He thinking we about to start, rebuilding would be lost. But he came to find out that the people that were living there, they had already started to destroy what was being rebuilt. You know what I'm saying? We just came back from
Mm-hmm.
exile. We know why we were in exile, and y'all have not changed. This has to change. That's why I think that's why Ezra was so sad, bro. He was sad. He was like, bro, what? You serious?
Stiff neck people, boy.
But imagine when Jesus was in the garden, right? Jesus said, well, y'all stay awake, man. Right, man? Help me pray. You see, they saying like I have a big task on my hands, right? I need y'all to pray for me, bro. Like, come back. They was sleeping. Y'all wake up, man. Pray for me, dog. He going back and he praying, God, take this cup from me. He come back,
Sleeping again.
sleeping again. You know what I mean? I think it might have happened one more time. But it's like, bro, there's no change since the last time he spoke. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The last, bro, we all y'all was the first ones to leave exile. This was why we was in exile to begin with. What doesn't click, you know? Some things does just be like, you don't get it? Y'all don't get it? And so Ezra, see, he was sad. He tore his clothes. He, pray to God, fast. My boy, fast, bro. This was a big thing on his
He
arm. You
ain't
see what I'm
eat any
saying?
drink.
He didn't do none of that. He had to lock in with God.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, his zeal for God, it lead him to do something that wasn't the most appropriate thing. So from a human perspective, it seemed right. That seemed like you just undo. Like, y'all married, that was wrong. So what's the opposite of marriage? Divorce. You see what I'm saying? Let's just undo, But that that like the impact of that, it could have such a, I don't know, it could have such a negative impact on someone's life, especially as an abrupt divorce. And I don't know how it used to get married back in the day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
certain cultures now, they don't have love marriage. They arrange their marriage. Back in them days is probably just like that. You might not
Mm-hmm.
even love them. You know what I mean? But who knows? You might have loved them. Who knows, bro? Who knows? But it was a lot. But overall, I see this as like a foundational piece to show us cultural wise how the Jews got to be the way they were when Jesus was around. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people blindly followed the Pharisees. It was misinformed. You know what I'm saying? And the Pharisees had a lot of power to inflict judgment, and they just was the police. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we could see where from the reconstruction of Jerusalem, we had the religious leaders through their zeal, through their zeal, taking matters into their own hands. You know what I'm saying? But it's up to y'all to decide and to conclude whether you think it was right or wrong. Ezra realized that the exiled Jews had intermarried with the pagan nations that surrounded them, and this was an act that was spoken against by the Mosaic laws. This greatly troubled Ezra, and he issued a decree for all mixed marriages to be divorced, and if anyone refused, they would forfeit their inheritance. And this will end the story of Ezra as leader and high priest of Jerusalem. But now we get introduced to a new leader, Nehemiah, that seeks to fortify Jerusalem. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.